I want to give a thank you to SimpliSafe for sponsoring this video. Find out more in a little bit.
Excuse me, could you keep it down? Thank you. Michael, delete this evidence. That's it, I'm not goofing.
Taking a quick break to join you from the home garage. It's been a minute since we've been here and it's actually looking kind of empty. It's weird. I want to let you know that the sponsor of today's video is actually a new one, and it's one that I'm excited to work with, and the company is called SimpliSafe. If you haven't already heard of SimpliSafe, it's an incredibly effective home security system, and if you've been worried about your safety or putting off setting up a system, I think SimpliSafe is going to be the ticket for you. You just order it online or over the phone. You can set it up yourself in under an hour. What's really cool is it's actually professionally monitored 24/7. So if something happens, they can call the police. And they've got loads of sensors, like motion sensors, glass break sensors, water sensors, fancy keypad, nice aesthetically pleasing base station. And for me, constantly traveling and now staying between two different houses, what's key and that I'm the most hyped on is having the video camera doorbell that monitors everything going on at the front door. So if I'm getting deliveries or want to check what's going on, I can very simply access it from my phone. How cool is that? I was personally blown away by how simple it was to set up. Their whole system's incredibly engineered. When you're setting it up, it's actually really satisfying putting the sensors in, testing them, and seeing how well they work. If you want to learn more about SimpliSafe, just go to simplisafe.com/AdamLZ. It's reliable, easy to use, and best of all, there's no contracts. Thank you SimpliSafe for sponsoring this video. I'm excited to take my security up a notch over here. Welcome to today's video. We're gonna start off with a little bit of a rant, because I'm annoyed, and this is something that me and Colette disagree on often. She loves Amazon. She's been getting so many cool decorations for her shop. I struggle as an Amazon shopper. I tried to order some office decorations. Every time I get something, I feel like it's been shrunk. It shows up and it's like 3 times smaller than you'd expect it to be. Like I just ordered some shelves. They're supposed to replace the shelves in my office and go like all the way to the ceiling, and they show up and they're like 3 feet tall. They make everything look so nice, and then it shows up and it's, with no disrespect to China, I feel like what they are essentially doing is pushing down all the lower margin, nicer quality products for the China modular stuff that can be broken down, fit into super small packages that can be shelved easily, and they can make a ton of money on, since they're probably losing it on shipping. But it's frustrating because I love their business model. I love that you can get the instant gratification of getting things fast, but I'm continually frustrated because everything that I get, I feel like they are becoming the dollar store of the internet, simply because of the fact that all their algorithms are pushing all of the insanely cheap, high margin, fun-sized products.
I would like to interrupt this broadcast to bring to you the special announcement of the Yashio Factory LZM collab harnesses that are going to be available today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a limited edition product. It is not going to be restocked, although maybe at some point in the future we might make one that's a little bit different. I don't recommend them to be on a golf cart, but it was purely for comedic effect. Also note, if we do ever make more of these, they will be a minimum of 6 months down the road because Japan. Also, more information that I want you to know, these harnesses will be sold for $400 each. If you buy 2 though, I'll hook it up. I'll do 2 for $750. More information below. Set a reminder, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's coming up soon today. And also, while I got you here, I've got some special news. It's pretty exciting for my friends over at Griot's Garage.
Surprise! Also new addition to the website. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you saw it first. But we now officially carry Griot's Garage products. I'm super excited, especially because a lot of times we'll just need something, so now we can grab it off the shelf. But they make a lot of really awesome stuff, and I thought it'd be cool to give you guys the opportunity, if you're checking out, getting a t-shirt or something, and you want to stock up on some ceramic speed shine, or maybe get yourself a foam cannon. All this stuff is in stock and will ship out with our other orders, so always super hyped to support the companies that support me, and getting the opportunity to sell Griot stuff is pretty freaking rad. So thank you, Griots. If you need some car detailing stuff, hit your guy up. Also, as a reminder, if you forgot, we do stock a bunch of D-Works injectors, fuel pumps, fuel pressure regulators, a bunch of ECU master goodies. We got you covered. I'm not gonna lie, that Amazon rant kind of has my brain going in business mode. So I think I've just made the executive decision that today's video, we're gonna talk business things, financial stuff that I normally don't talk about. It's fun for me to think about, and I know a lot of you guys are constantly asking questions and find it interesting. So in this video, we're gonna break down the compound as a business entity. Is it feasible? Am I running myself dry? How much did I spend on this place? And what is it costing to operate? Not necessarily a business tip, but a life hack. If you've ever put jelly on with a knife, try with a spoon, it's actually way easier. Before we get too deep into this, I think it's important that you understand my alternative. So in the old shop that we were in, we were obviously running out of space. It worked, but we were spending about, I think, $2,500 in rent every single month. Actually a really great deal for the location. I loved it, it was fun to work, but we were definitely outgrowing space both on the merch side and on the parts side. That plus the other auxiliary shop I had for storing cars, which still wasn't enough space, had me at about $3,600 a month, excluding power, utilities, all that, which we don't even talk about because it's kind of irrelevant right now. Now, comparatively, obviously I own this place, or I should say the bank does, but my mortgage payment right around $7,800. So it's about a $4,200 difference, but what's cool is between the houses that are being rented on property, the employee car storage space, Colette's shop, it actually nets me to about break even. So I'm not actually spending that much more mortgage payments monthly than I was at rent with the other places. And given the amount of size of this facility, that's pretty freaking cool. But there's a catch. Obviously, this place is a bit more of an ordeal and there's a lot more hidden costs that you might not think about. And some of that is what I want to dive into in this video. Now, mind you, this video is a bit of a... Sorry, I just had to casually flex the coffee that Colette got me in there. A bit outside of the norm for me. I don't like explaining a bunch of financial stuff. However, some of it is public information and I feel like it is important for me to express to you guys how much I paid for this property in this video because it is extremely relevant to all the numbers that I'm saying, and you guys are smart and I'm sure you could probably figure it out based on my mortgage payments anyway. So this property was listed for nearly, I think almost $8 million 6 years ago. They lowered it down to something like 3.75 million, I think like 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe it was over time, but regardless, when I initially went to go look at this property, it was kind of a pipe dream. I could not afford that much, but I was hoping maybe it had been sitting for a while and I could lowball them. So the information that we were told was enough to give us the ammunition, and I lowballed them, and I offered them 1.7 on a $3.7 million property. Now, the owners of the property came back at 2.3 million, and that was a number that I could actually afford. I was about to spend the same amount of money on a different building that was way smaller. So from that point, I was like, this is actually happening. But of course, I wasn't just gonna take it for that. So I lowballed them again. I lowballed them at 1.9, and they met me at 2 million. So I purchased this insane property, 30 acres, all these buildings, all these lifts, all this equipment, for $2 million, which anywhere other than being in Florida in the middle of the swamp is an absolute steal. And I still think it's a steal. You know, to recreate this place would probably cost upwards of $8 million just in buildings and infrastructure, especially in today's cost of building. So, money-wise, being a YouTuber and not having the most traditional form of income, it's not like I have a 501k working for some big company and have paychecks and salaries that are all stable. I had to put a pretty hefty amount down on this place. I had to put $500,000 down. And of what I'm about to talk about in this video, that's probably been the biggest hurdle so far because of the fact that that $500,000, although it is not all that I have in a bank account or in investments, was predominantly my buying power. So the money that I would use, whether it's for cars, stuff for content, products that would be resold, I pretty much had to spend all of it in order to put a down payment on this place. And that has made it a little bit more difficult ordering certain things that I will be selling on the website if we have to put, say, $50,000 to $100,000 on a initial buy-in or purchase order for selling parts, buying a huge order of hoodies. It's not like I have just a bunch of liquid cash sitting around like I used to. I used to be able to just pay an invoice right out the gate, buy cars in cash. Now, I'm just kind of being a little bit more clever and I'm just leveraging my money a little bit more. So if an invoice is net 30, I'll pay it net 30 because I might be waiting. Say, a great example is the harnesses, the Yashio factory harnesses, right? I purchased those 5 to 6 months ago. So that money was basically spent sitting, can't do anything with it. So it makes it a lot more difficult when I don't have that huge cushion that I had that was used to purchase this property. Delaying payments and really leveraging the cash that you have is kind of a very common elementary business methodology, but It's not something I always did because I never had to do it, and it's something that I've been learning and getting better at, right? Why would you buy a car all cash when you can make a 3x return on that money in investments or in merchandise that I can sell on a web store? And yes, I'm just driving around the golf cart endlessly because I don't want to just be sitting in my office right now, and I want to be driving around getting airflow, and it helps my brain think. One of the blessings of this place is it did come with a lot of equipment, whether it be lifts, the tractor, the forklift, shop equipment. There's a lot of costs initially that we are able to save, you know, same thing with the paint booth. With that being said, to get us to just the bare minimum operational point, there's probably been about another 100 grand that I've had to spend. Just running through a quick list that I wrote down. Having stuff painted, like the shop, about 10 grand, redoing carpets, about 5 grand, AC, like 5 units so far, about 25 grand, about 10 grand in furniture and shelves, power washing and cleanup about 10 grand, pest control, water issues, garage door people, gate people. I would say it's safe to say in small renovations and getting this place operational, we're already getting close to the $100,000 mark of money that I put into this property now. I'm not really stressing that too much because of the fact that finally I'm in something that I have a long-term goal of staying here. It's not like a rental property where I'm scared to even put the money into painting a wall or doing floors because I know I'm not gonna be there forever. But with that in mind, that is another reason why I made the choice I did with the shops instead of spending 50 grand to do the floor. And the other shop where I don't like the lift layout, I don't like the door layout, that will make a better use for automotive part sales, which is what we want to use the space for. I will say one thing that helped tremendously with cash flow and to be able to make a lot of the initial purchases that I anticipated moving into this place were those LZ compound bundles. And I want to thank you guys once again. We sold probably more compound bundles than we have almost any other product, especially in such a short period of time. And that was instrumental to us to be able to have the cash flow to operate out of this place right off the rip after making that huge down payment. With that being said, if you haven't got any of the email updates, we are just waiting on those shovels. Those were shipped via boat. Those did take a while to ship just because they were so heavy, but I want to say, I will confirm this in text and the video, I think we're expected to have everything by the end of the month and it'll be on its way to you. But I want to thank you for your patience, and that has been key, and I really appreciate all of you guys that got compound bundles, and I think it's going to be a cool piece of understanding how much you guys played a role in us being able to make the move into this place. Now I'm a little scatterbrained throughout this, and there's no real logical way that I can talk through a lot of this information other than just kind of when it pops into my head. But another challenge of kind of the financial burdens of this place was that all of this kind of happened at the same time that we were making a lot of spend, for lack of a better word, on the FD program. And although I'm very beneficial to have a lot of great sponsors, the way that a lot of those sponsors pay is in quarterly or by round. So there's a lot of upfront costs in regards to FD, whether I'm buying a bunch of engine stuff, paying for machine work, labor to work on the car, flights and spares and fab stuff. It's very easy to say the FD rounds cost a minimum of 10 grand each. I'll probably be somewhere in the 200 to 300 grand range by the end of the season, just in operating costs, give or take, even already having a built car. So having to spend a lot of that up front, right around the same time as the compound purchase, and not having some of the sponsor money in my bank right at the same time, again, it made it a little bit more tricky than normal. And that's why there was a period where I was trying to sell a bunch of cars and sell a bunch of stuff just because cash flow and timing was not where I wanted it to be.
While we're on a business topic, I thought we should talk about the merch plugs. The merch plug is something I never did before because I just thought it was stupid, and I hated watching people talk about their merch in videos. And that's why we try to put effort into making it fun. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It seems like it's been working, and you guys have been supporting the channel a lot, and I really appreciate it. Is that a challenger approaching? Let's play chicken, mother. Oh my god.
All right, so now time to get into some of the nitty gritty. I tried to compile a rough estimate of operating expenses. Obviously, there's a lot of things that I'm probably forgetting. Most of my data is pulled. So apart from the mortgage, a lot of people have been asking about the power bill here. We still haven't had like full operational power bill month yet, but our last power bill, which I'd say we're about 50% of where we're gonna be, was about $2,000 a month. I expect that to probably at least double once some of the other buildings have AC. In terms of insurance, it's roughly about 2 grand a month for here, which is a little bit less than I expected, to be honest. Power, I already said. Internet's about 150, which is pretty cheap. We have like 30 up, 30 down, which is sufficient for what we do. Trash is about 400 bucks a month. So those expenses we're looking at about $4,500 a month, or roughly like 50 grand a year. Sounds like a crazy amount of money for a place of this scale. Not as bad as you'd expect. It's helpful that we have our own water, but there are a lot of ways that we can save power here. A lot of people keep asking about solar. From the research that I've done and the people that I've spoken to, it's gonna be such a big cost up front that would, pretty much like I was explaining before, hinder my cash flow, that I'm better off not doing it, paying a bit more for power rather than spending a bunch of money up front. With that being said, LEDs can save a ton of money on power, and LEDs are now extremely cheap. So the plan is to outfit this building with as many LEDs as we can. Already in the shop, I'm actually working with a really cool LED company that I will share with you guys. And we're doing some pretty cool lights in there. I know you guys got a little bit of a glimpse of seeing the paint, but it's awesome finally starting to see my vision for that place come about. And one other saving of having this place that I didn't really account for is the fact that we are able to use the driveway path, not only for content, which is a huge value. My best month that I've ever done on YouTube, which was about double my average in terms of YouTube ad revenue, was obviously the first month with the compound, because almost all the videos got 1 million views. You guys loved it. They helped introduce the channel to new people, which was pretty cool. But we'd typically be renting OSW at least once a month, and I believe each rental is somewhere around $800. So it's saving another $800 a month when we're able to just do testing in our own backyard. Obviously, transportation costs saved. Having to pay people to drive to the track and be there at the track that can instead be here, big savings. Did a little poll on Twitter and tried to see other questions or common things that you guys are wondering about. In terms of utilizing this place for the outside public to make more money, like say contracting out the paint booth or sandblasting stuff, isn't really something I plan to do. We're fine operating how we are with the current zoning, but once we start having the public and customers come to us, it does start creating an issue and potential gray area. So just cut and dry, I don't want to lose this awesome place or have any issues. So I'm not open to the public, private use, which honestly makes it easier between YouTube stuff and having strangers come in here anyway. And I think the benefit would not outweigh the hassle if we were to utilize services for stuff like that. Another common question, obviously we have a pretty big operation now between FD, guys in the merch side, guys in the shop. A lot of people are curious what my payroll expense is. I'm pretty proud to let you guys know, not that it's relevant to you, that as of this year, we do now offer healthcare, which is pretty cool and pretty legit. I never thought that I would have a company that has healthcare. I feel like that's such a fancy thing. I still remember when I was like paying Bert to cut stickers out of the dorm room with crumpled up $20 bills, which by the way, if you guys have ordered from us and are a longtime fan and didn't realize, Rob, AKA Bert, still does work for us remotely, and he does a lot of the customer service out of Colorado, which is pretty cool. But yeah, payroll is average around $30,000 a month. And that's also excluding the salary that I pay myself. Not that it's really relevant to this discussion, but to give you an idea of what it takes to run an FD program, a merch business, and a compound facility, YouTuber, Dream Deluxe. For reference, I printed out my P&L. Last year, our overall expenses, I'm not sure if this includes purchasing cars or not. I don't even think that it does. Were about $1.1 million. I'm not gonna share with you guys how much I make. That is information that I'm not comfortable sharing in this video, but I can tell you last year, my overall net income was about 10% of the money that I brought in overall. Doesn't sound that good when I say it that way, but to be honest, I pour as much as I can back into the brand, back into something like this facility or more cars, more content, and stuff that I know will continue to grow what we are doing. And although that expense is like a vastly huge number, as expenses go up, usually income follows it as well. So this year, overall, I'm hoping that I can make, it would be awesome to make double what I did last year in terms of like overall income. I don't know that it's realistic, but looking at these numbers, I can estimate that our overall expenses will probably be double, if not triple. Between purchasing merch, shop expenses, and everything, we average have an Amex bill of about $150,000 to $200,000 a month, which is mind-boggling. But the nice thing is because it's a credit card, we get points that we use on the FD flights and stuff like that. It is very weird for me to talk about a lot of these numbers and information because it's stuff that I never even really try to look at because it stresses me out. And I don't want this to be misconstrued with how I opened up the video and explained kind of like current cash flow issues, even though it's not necessarily an issue. I do have money and investments that I can't always pull out and leverage if I'm ever in a bind, but more so to give you an idea of the overall climate. Because I know a lot of you guys understand and can picture and see what we're doing and understand how expensive it is to pull all of this stuff off. But then there are also people that think like this is just a huge like cash raking business and we're just bathing in money. It's not. But it's pretty cool that a lot of the fun stuff that we do and stuff like running a race program can be directly expensed to help offset income. I guess that is one of the beauties of being a YouTuber, is that stuff that average people would not be able to expense. If we use it in a video or it's a tool, a prop, it typically can be deducted. There's a lot of things that I'm not thinking about. This was kind of the easiest stuff to talk about because it's reoccurring payments that have been right in front of my face, as well as the Amex card, which is very easy for me to look at. But there are lots of other wires, direct drafts, and it's crazy to talk about numbers this big, and I never thought I would be sitting here in an office, let alone multiple offices now, talking about numbers bigger than I could have ever fathomed. Looking through Twitter, another thing that people have asked is about me selling my other house, and although it'd probably be the perfect time to sell in the market, I'm not sure I'm 100% keen on the idea of permanently living where I work. I've found that for my mental health, having a little bit of separation between home and the place where I do business has been nice, although it is also really nice staying here and being able to just wake up and just walk right into my office. So for the moment, I think it's going to be a useful place to kind of have as a auxiliary house if I have friends staying in town, but there's potential that I might end up selling it. It would be a very easy thing to do if I needed cash to kind of fund other things. So it is one thing that has been in the back of my mind. Another question I saw on Twitter, I told you guys I paid 2 for this place. It actually did appraise at 3.2, which is pretty cool. I was very nervous when it came to having to put up so much money for a down payment that if it had appraised for lower, it could have potentially made it a little bit too far out of reach, or that the bank might reconsider. But thankfully, I got this place for an insane value. And I'll be honest, I knew that the expenses were gonna be out of this world, but the way that I work as a person, I knew that kind of having that pressure and knowing in the back of my head that I really need to work harder to make something like this work, it would give me more motivation, because before, I don't wanna say that I was comfortable, but it's very easy to kind of get just, I don't know, in a rut, in a groove to where you don't really try to aspire new, higher and better places in your life. And with that being said, there is something very big brewing that will, I don't want to say change everything. I'm not giving up on YouTube, still drifting just as much as I can. But on the business side, this would be a very appropriate time to say that moves are being made. And I'm hoping in the next month or two, I can fill you guys in and bring you along for the journey. Another common question, usually not so much on YouTube, but people that I meet will kind of be curious how reliant I am on YouTube for income. I would say as of right now, my income stream is split pretty much in thirds between sponsorships like brand deals, integrations, YouTube ad rev, which is just straight people watching videos, and merch sales. So what's cool is YouTube ad rev tanked during the pandemic, and I was able to focus more resources on merch to help offset that, kind of like not having all my eggs in one basket. Also, too, during that time period, I took more ad integrations or brand deals, whatever you want to call them, in videos than I had in the past, just to cover myself. But we're still just getting started here. I'm super excited to dial in the lounge, dial in the shop, dial in my office. I'm about to put out an event schedule on Instagram showing all the events we're going to be at this year on top of it. But it's wild. I appreciate you guys every day. I don't want you to take this video in any way, shape, or form as I like look at all these big numbers as like a flashy thing. It's more like me trying to let you guys know that your support and all the love and energy that you guys put in this channel really is what it takes to turn the gears and make an operation like this possible. I'm appreciative of it every day. I know all the people here are super grateful to be in a position like this, and this is your reminder that you guys are awesome and you're helping us make history here, changing the game with a 30-acre compound. Thank you. This video was definitely a bit weird to make. Again, like I said, I don't like talking about a lot of this stuff. I knew that I would want to make something like this at some point. I kind of wanted to have a better idea of like actual electricity costs, since it's still kind of like tentative, but as I figure that out a little bit more, I would love to share it with you guys, be fully transparent, but just, I hope this video is enjoyable and I hope this doesn't cause problems. I tried to think through any negative repercussions of me sharing any of this information, and I think we're okay. Mike, please make sure there's no credit cards or sensitive information on my desk or anywhere in the background of this video. But yeah, thank you guys. I know I act like an idiot sometimes on video, and I just wanted to remind you that this is a pretty gnarly business operation. Sometimes being an idiot, putting on some pink glasses and selling some merch is what it takes to make it happen. Thank you and goodbye. I really appreciate it. Is that a challenger approaching?